Hey guys, welcome back. Yesterday, a little teaser for Tales from Slipspace was revealed on Amazon, which is coming out later this month, and it's almost like the guys at 343 who chose the story to reveal, chose it specifically for us, for this channel. The story explains the Halo Wars 1 legendary ending, along with resolving the Flood infection form on the Spirit of Fire as seen in Escalation. Before we start, keep in mind that there may be an odd page or info missing, as this is only a taster of the overall story, and it does say numerous times on the Amazon page that there may be pages missing. Also, bear in mind that I can't use many screenshots as they are copyrighted, and if I get a copyright strike, it could pretty much destroy my entire channel. So with all that out the way, if you could leave a like for another Flood story, it seems like we've had so many lately, that would be fantastic. Okay, so let's get into the story. The story actually has a really cool name, Something Has Happened, which is of course referring back to the Halo Wars 1 legendary ending.
Captain, wake up. Something has happened.
The story begins with Serena announcing to herself that it's only 6 days until her 7th anniversary, and unfortunately, we all know what happens to a smart AI on their 7th anniversary. She wakes up a specialist by the name of Violetta Maldini to conduct scheduled maintenance to keep the Spirit of Fire up and running whilst the rest of the crew are in cryosleep. Maldini goes to investigate Cryobay Foxtrot 7, which I assume is the Cryobay from Escalation, and is pounced by the infection form, which actually appears to have a new look. Serena implies that it somehow managed to slip into the Spirit of Fire during that really long containment sequence from Halo Wars 1, when they enter the centre of the shield world, and somehow went unnoticed the entire time. With Maldini now infected by the infection form and thus becoming a combat form, Serena goes into lockdown within the sector, and we get a slightly new look at a new combat form design. It appears to have a talon instead of a tentacle whip, which is similar to the Halo 4 Flood design. Although, don't panic, I initially did panic thinking, oh god, they've redesigned the Flood. Don't worry, by the looks of it, the old design is still canon and will still be in the story. You'll see why in a minute. Serena wakes Jerome up after the combat former's back erupts, which spews out a ton of infection forms, and he starts going to work, killing the infection and combat forms pretty damn easily. It's here where we get two really cool shots of the new combat forms, and they look a lot meatier and stronger now, which is something that I'm definitely not against. Hopefully this transitions into the games when they eventually return, and they're slightly tougher than they were at least in Halo 3 and Combat Evolved, because they were pretty weak and crumbly in those games. Also, as you can see, this one appears to have the old tentacle whip that we're used to seeing, and not the talon. Perhaps the Flood have actually evolved and have different versions of combat forms for different tasks now. For example, the talon is used for example, breaking through walls and destroying things, whereas the whip is used against other life forms to injure them enough to make them weak and susceptible to an infection form, so they can be infected and assimilated. Jerome continues to fight through the numerous cryobays worth of combat forms, noting that one of them knew the codes for the weapon locker as it managed to pin him down. After facing a combat form wearing some really odd blue armour on its legs that actually looks surprisingly like Mjolnir if you look at its stomach, he begins using grenades to dispatch large groups of combat forms, much to Serena's dismay, and after using 2 grenades, all of the Flood on the Spirit of Fire seem to be neutralised, and the entire Flood threat on the Spirit of Fire is neutralised. And that's the end of the Flood portion of this story. In my opinion, it's pretty brief. I was hoping for more, to be honest, but you never know. There's more to this story, and by more, I mean a pretty damn big cliffhanger, so we're not out of the woods yet. At the end of the story, Serena undergoes final dispensation, which is a pretty sad moment. Of course, when she undergoes final dispensation, it marks the end of her service and also her life. Or does it? In the final frame, after Serena's been dispensed, she says something has happened, so this of course means that, interestingly, the Halo Wars 1 legendary ending takes place after this story, and after Serena has been disposed of. Now, leave your thoughts on what this could mean in the comments down below, as to be honest, this hit me like an absolute ton of bricks when I first read it, and I would love to hear what your thoughts and theories are on this, because right now, we're sort of guessing in the dark. However, I do have some thoughts on this. Technically, she could say that as she's getting dispensed, in the sort of milliseconds before she ceases to exist, but honestly I doubt it. Something happens to her after she's been dispensed, in my opinion. It can't be the created, as this story is set in 2537, which is before Cortana even existed. Perhaps she found the domain, but how? She's on the Spirit of Fire. Well, maybe in 2537 it somehow drifted past Maithrillian on its way to the Ark, and Serena somehow managed to reach the domain from the ship. It would require a very weird act of teleportation of some sort, but hey, it's the Halo universe and we're fighting space zombies, anything's possible. But unfortunately, right now, that's all we have. It's purely a guessing game, but I would hazard a guess of this being explained in some form at least in Halo Wars 2, whether it be in a cutscene or in some terminal Easter eggs hidden throughout the campaign. Whatever it is, I would really hazard a guess at this being explained in Halo Wars 2. But that's all for today, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. I do apologise that this video is on the shorter side. I'm currently pretty swamped with university, and I thought that I would just make a video about this as soon as I could after this information got released, so here it is. The next video is going to be a very interesting discussion surrounding Abaddon, also known as the Organon, and what the meaning behind its precursor name will bring to the future of the story. It should be a really damn interesting video because the religious meanings behind the word Abaddon are very, very significant. Don't forget to leave your thoughts on Serena's final words, if they even are her final words, in the comments, and I'll catch you next time.